Hello dear friends, students. We are going to study about the foundation of nanoelectronics topic, which is allotted to TYBSc. The topic name is the Maxwell equations. Before going to the Maxwell equation, we consider in detail about the nanoelectronics. So nanoelectronics is the term which is basically used in nanotechnology. Nanotechnology consists various parts, particularly electronic parts, and so to develop such a type of electronic parts like display, memory chips, we require nano devices. And so these nano devices, to construct such a type of nano devices, we require the basic concepts or knowledge of electromagnetics. And so we consider electromagnetics, in which the Maxwell's equation is the part. So we consider about the basically electromagnetics. In the case of electromagnetics, there are the three parts. First one is the electrostatics. It basically deals with the charges which are stationary. The second part is the magnetostatics, in which this part is deals with particularly the stationary current, or it is nothing but known as, say, the concept that is associated with the steady current. And the third part, that is electromagnetics, is the combination of electrostatic theory and magnetic theory. That means if the charge is present in electric field as well as a magnetic field. We consider first of all in detail the basic concept associated with the electrostatics. In electrostatics, the first fundamental law is the Coulomb's law. This is the well-known law used in the development of or explanation of the electrostatics. It states that if there are 2 point charges and located at a finite distance, then the force of interaction is directly proportional to the product of these 2 point charges and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. The expression for the force according to Coulomb's law, it is given by F is equal to Q1 Q2 divided by R square, where the constant of proportionality is just given by 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 into Q1 Q2 divided by R square. So this is the expression for the force. Now with this type of force, we also consider about the electric field. Electric field is nothing but force per unit test charge, and so we consider that electric field is also defined with the help of this. Similarly, another terminologies, that is nothing but electrostatic potential, electric flux, that can be also explained with the help of this law. There is another law which is also very important in electrostatic theory, and that is nothing but the Gauss law. Gauss law states that the total electric flux passing through any closed surface is always equal to 1 upon epsilon 0 times net free charge enclosed by that surface, and this flux is just denoted by, so this is the electric flux phi suffix E is nothing but equal to, we have 1 upon epsilon 0 times net charge Q enclosed by that surface. So this is nothing but defined as, this flux also can be written in terms of electric intensity, and therefore the flux phi suffix E is written as integral over S closed surface integral is into, we have electric intensity dot N ds is equal to, we have Q upon epsilon 0. Gauss law also expressed in terms of dielectric medium, and so this should be get modified in terms of say that dielectrics. So in dielectrics we know that this Gauss law can be written as integral over S vector d dot N ds is equal to the free charge enclosed by that surface, where here a new vector d arises. So it is nothing but known as electrical displacement, and this electrical displacement vector is given by epsilon 0 E plus P, where epsilon 0 is permittivity of free space, E is the electric intensity, P is the polarization, where polarization P is defined as dipole moment per unit volume. And so this is nothing but the equation which is present, that there are the three vectors, vector D, vector E and vector P, they are related together. So this is one of the law which is also important in the, say that in electrostatic theory. Now with the help of these laws, we have different types of terminologies which also explain, and therefore we know that the other terminologies are nothing but, say that the susceptibility, electrical susceptibility, that is denoted by chi of E. Another one is the relative permeability. Relative permeability is denoted by epsilon r, where epsilon r is just defined by a ratio of epsilon upon epsilon 0. That is absolute permeability of the medium to the absolute permeability of the free space. So this is nothing but defined as epsilon r. This is called as a relative permeability. Sometimes it is also called as dielectric constant, so it is sometimes also denoted by K. So this is nothing but the concept that is used in the case of, say that, the terminology which are used in the case of electrostatic theory. Now we consider the second term, that is nothing but about the magnetostatic theory. In case of magnetostatic theory, we also define the term that is force. So in this case, according to the Lorentz law, we get the expression for the Lorentz force, and this expression indicates that if a charge Q is moving with certain velocity v, then it experiences a sideway deflecting force. And if there is a sideway deflecting force, then exactly at perpendicular to it, there is the existence of magnetic induction. And so according to that, say that law, we write then the force due to magnetization is just given by F is equal to Q into vector V cross vector B. So we get, this is another type of, say that, the law which is present in the case of magnetostatic theory. Now along with this, there are the certain basic laws in magnetostatic theory. The important one is the first fundamental, that is nothing but known as a Biot-Savart law. Biot-Savart law is nothing but, it is stated as, let us consider a current element which has length dl through which current I is flowing. If you consider any point outside this current element, suppose that the point P is located at the midpoint of, from midpoint of the current element, it is present at a distance of r, right? And the angle made by this OP with the current element is suppose defined by theta. Then the magnetic induction exists at point P is just given by, according to Biot-Savart law, that is dB is proportional to I, that is current flowing through the current element, then dl, the length of current element, the sine of the angle, that is theta which is made by OP with the current element, inversely proportional to the square of the distance of point P from the current element. And therefore this is nothing but simple, say that, the Biot-Savart law. According to this dB also can be written as constant of proportionality is added mu 0 upon 4 pi I dl sine theta divided by r square, where mu 0 is permeability of the free space, and so we get the expression for dB. Now this is the another, say that, the equation in magnetostatic theory. But Ampere's law is also the basic or fundamental law in magnetostatics. Ampere's law states that the line integral of a magnetic induction, suppose that line integral over C of magnetic induction, that is B, into the length of the current element is dl, is equal to, that is, it states that the line integral of magnetic induction passing through any closed length, it is always equal to the product of permeability of free space and the current flowing through it. So it is nothing but just given by using this equation. Now this equation also can be transferred. This is nothing but obtained from Ampere's law. So we have the Ampere's law. This equation also can be transferred in terms of differential form. To obtain the differential form, we consider the current is expressed in terms of current density. So current density is just defined by, so current density is denoted by J. It is nothing but limit delta S tends to 0, delta I divided by delta S. Therefore, we can easily calculate the equation for I, current I is equal to integral over S of vector J dot n ds. So this is nothing but expression for I. If we put this value in this equation, we write integral over, say that, C vector B dot dl is equal to mu 0 into integral over S of vector J dot n ds. Convert this line integral in terms of the surface integral by using then the Stokes theorem. So according to Stokes theorem, we know that, say, A is any vector, and if there is a line integral of vector, that is A into dl, it is converted in terms of surface integral with the help of the equation, that is curl of that vector. So curl of that vector into dot n ds. Using this Stokes theorem, we convert the line integral in terms of surface integral. So the LHS of the equation becomes that the line integral is converted in terms of surface integral of curl of that vector. So curl of vector b dot n ds is equal to, we have the equation is mu 0 integral over s of vector j dot n ds. Now on both sides we have the surface integral, and so it reduces to, say that the equation should be reduces to, they say that curl of vector b is equal to mu 0 into j. So this is the, say that the equation in differential form, which is nothing but the Ampere's law, which can be written in terms of differential form. So this equation is also useful particularly to develop then the magnetic theory, magnetic theory. Now we consider then that this equation, Ampere's law, also can be applied to the magnetic materials, because magnetic materials are of three types. We know that diamagnetic, paramagnetic and ferromagnetic, and hence this equation, if it is applied to the magnetic material, then equation should be modified, and so it is nothing but just written as curl of vector b is equal to mu 0 into, we have j plus the vector that is added here, that is nothing but defined by Jm, where Jm is nothing but called as current density due to magnetization. But this Jm is defined, that is Jm is defined as curl of vector m, where m is nothing but known as a magnetization vector. And if we put this value, the equation should be written as curl of vector b is equal to mu 0 into j plus, we have mu 0 into, we have curl of vector m. Now take curl operator on left hand side, so equation should be written as, so divide throughout by mu 0, therefore curl operator should be written as curl of, we write then b upon mu 0, right, minus vector m is equal to only j, right. Therefore this is the new vector, which is nothing but known as a magnetic intensity vector. It is denoted by h, and so curl of vector h is equal to j. And here also we have three vectors, where h is nothing but defined by equation h is equal to b upon mu 0 minus m, and therefore b is nothing but written as mu 0 into bracket, we have vector b plus, vector b is equal to vector h plus vector m. So this is nothing but the three vectors, they are related together. Vector b is magnetic induction vector, h is magnetic intensity vector, and m is magnetization vector. So this is nothing but the relation associated with it. Now here also, with the help of these two laws, particularly Ampere law and Biot-Savart law, we also have the different phenomenons which are obtained. The phenomenon that is nothing but about the magnetic material. Magnetic material also has its susceptibility. It is denoted by chi of m, that is called as susceptibility. Now for paramagnetic substances, this susceptibility is positive. In case of diamagnetic substances, the susceptibility is negative, and in the ferromagnetic substances it should be varied. And so say that this is also the important concept that is obtained with the help of this law. Now these are nothing but basic fundamentals associated with the, say that, electrostatic theory. Another is nothing but the magnetic theory. Now we consider that the Maxwell proposed that there are some fundamental equations, and these equations are very useful to develop the theory that is nothing but known as electromagnetic theory. So we consider about these equations. Maxwell proposed 4 fundamental equations of electromagnetic theory, out of which the first equation is in differential form, so that divergence of vector d is equal to rho. That means this equation is already obtained from Gauss law in dielectrics. So Gauss law in dielectrics can be written in this manner. So we have the first equation, that divergence of vector d is equal to rho. The second equation obtained, that is nothing but divergence of vector b is always equal to 0. That is, b is according to Biot-Savart law, we define the term that is magnetic induction. We know the equation for magnetic induction, and if we take divergence of that vector, it becomes always equal to 0. So it indicates that magnetic induction is solenoidal type, right? The third equation, which is proposed by Maxwell, and that third equation is nothing but curl of vector E is equal to minus dabba B upon dabba T. This equation is already proved by using Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. So according to Faraday's law, we get the equation that curl of vector E is equal to minus delta B upon delta T. The fourth equation is nothing but modified form of Ampere's circuit law, and that equation is curl of vector H is equal to vector J plus delta D upon delta T. So these are the four fundamental equations proposed by Maxwell. Along with these four equations, there are three subsidiary equations proposed by Maxwell. The first equation is vector D is equal to epsilon into E. The second equation is vector B is equal to mu H. And the third equation is vector J is equal to sigma into E. So these are the three subsidiary equations, where vector D is related with electric intensity, vector B is related with magnetic intensity H, and vector J is related with electric intensity E. Where there are some terms, that is epsilon is nothing but permittivity of the medium, mu is permeability of the medium, while sigma, that is nothing but known as conductivity of the medium. That means these equations are associated with the conducting medium. So these conducting medium equations are just written with the help of these. Now that means we have to consider that this is nothing but obtained from the first law, that is nothing but obtained from the Gauss law. So we write then this is nothing but obtained from Gauss law. This is nothing but also referred as Gauss law in, this is also referred as Gauss law in magnetostatics, Third equation is, that is Faraday's law of, this is nothing but Faraday's law. Fourth equation is modified form of Ampere's law. So these are the four fundamental equations. Now consider these equations also can be written in integral form. So we consider about the first equation, which can be written in integral form. So we have the first equation is divergence of vector D is equal to rho. Taking the volume integral on both sides, we get that this equation should be written as integral over V of divergence of vector D is equal into dV is equal to integral over V rho into dV. Now this volume integral is easily converted in terms of surface integral by using Gauss divergence theorem. So using Gauss divergence theorem, if there is a volume integral of divergence of that vector, it should be transferred in terms of surface integral of that vector. Right? So this equation should be written as integral over S of vector D dot vector dn ds is equal to, we have the concept that is the integral over V of rho into dV, where this is nothing but the term associated with the charge, because we know that rho is nothing but known as volume density of charge, and volume density of charge is just defined by limit delta V tends to 0 delta Q upon delta V, from which you can easily calculate the value of Q. Q is nothing but equal to integral of over V of rho into dV. So this is nothing but say that the first equation which can be written in terms of the integral form. So this is referred as, suppose, equation A. The second equation, that is divergence of B equal to 0. Right? So divergence of vector B is equal to 0. Taking again volume integral on both sides, the volume integral of divergence of vector B into dV is equal to 0. Convert this volume integral in terms of surface integral, then equation becomes integral over S of vector B dot n ds is equal to 0. So this is the equation, say that second equation can be transferred in terms of its integral form. Then we have the third equation, curl of E equal to minus delta B upon delta T. So to obtain its integral form, let us consider curl of vector E is equal to minus delta B upon delta T. Taking surface integral on both sides, the equation should be written as integral over S of curl of vector E dot n ds is equal to minus integral over S of delta B upon delta T dot n ds. Now this surface integral is transferred in terms of the line integral by using Stokes theorem. So by using Stokes theorem, it should be written as LHS of the equation becomes Stokes theorem, integral over C of vector E dot dl is equal to minus integral over S into dabba B of dabba T dot n into ds. So this is the third equation associated with the Maxwell third equation, can be written in terms of its integral form. The fourth equation is curl of H. So similarly we may have the integral form of the fourth equation. Curl of H is equal to vector J plus dabba D upon dabba T. Now again here also we take the surface integral on both sides. So equation should be written as integral over S of curl of H dot n ds is equal to integral over S of vector J plus dabba D upon dabba T into dot n ds. Convert then this surface integral in terms of line integral by using Stokes theorem. So equation should be written as integral over C of H dot dl is equal to integral over S. We may separate then the two terms, J dot n ds, and another one is integral over S of dabba D upon dabba T dot n ds. So this is nothing but the equation which is written in terms of integral form. The Maxwell equations, the statements of the Maxwell equation also can be made with their integral forms. The first equation is integral over S d dot n ds is equal to q. So the statement is made such that the normal component of displacement vector, surface integral of normal component of displacement vector passing through any closed surface is always equal to the true charge present in that surface. So this is nothing but the first equation. The second equation can be stated as the surface integral of magnetic induction passing through any closed surface is always equal to 0. So this is the second equation. Then we have third equation. Third equation indicates that on left hand side we have line integral, on right hand side we have surface integral. So this is nothing but also the another type of force that is called as electromotive force. So the line integral of the electromotive force passing through any closed surface is equal to the negative rate of change of magnetic flux, or magnetic flux, that is nothing but B dot n ds. So this is also, that means this statement also can be written as minus, if we take dabba by dabba T outside the integral, then the equation becomes inside the bracket is vector B dot n ds. So this is nothing but negative rate of change of magnetic flux, and magnetic flux is nothing but indicated by integral over S vector B dot n ds. So this is nothing but the statement. So the statement is made that the total electromotive force passing through any closed surface is equal to the negative rate of change of magnetic flux. While the fourth equation can be stated as the line integral of magnetomotive force. So this term is nothing but known as a magnetomotive force. So magnetomotive force passing through any closed surface is equal to the sum of two terms. The first term is the true current and the second term is the displacement current. So current is nothing but I, and I is nothing but due to the J. So we know that this is nothing but referred as true current density, while dabba D upon dabba T is nothing but known as a displacement current density. So this is nothing but say that the concept. And so it should be stated as the line integral of magnetomotive force passing through the closed surface is always equal to the sum of true current and the displacement current. So these are the four fundamental equations which can be written in terms of their integral form. In some applications, we also consider that these Maxwell equations should be applied for the free space, and so the differential forms are already known, and from these differential equations we write these Maxwell's equation for free space. So we write here the Maxwell's equations in free space. First equation is as it is, that is divergence of vector D is equal to rho. The free space means where the conductivity is 0. That means we know that the value of sigma equal to 0, and so the equations are written as divergence of vector D equal to rho. Second equation is also as it is, divergence of vector B is equal to 0. Third equation is curl of, so curl of vector E is equal to minus dabba B upon dabba T, while the fourth equation is curl of vector H is equal to dabba D upon dabba T. Here the value of J becomes equal to 0 because according to substitutory equation we know that J is nothing but equal to sigma E, but the value of sigma is equal to 0 and therefore vector J is equal to 0. So equation should be reduced to this one. So this is the first equation, this is the second equation, this is the third equation, and this is the fourth equation which can be written. Similarly, the subsidiary equations also can be written in case of free space, that is just defined by vector D is equal to epsilon 0 into E. Then second equation is the B is equal to mu 0 into H, and the third equation J is for free space, it is equal to 0. That means epsilon 0 is permittivity of free space, mu 0 is permeability of the free space. So equation should be written in this way. So these are the fundamental equations associated with the electromagnetic theory proposed by Maxwell, and these are used for developing then the various relations. Okay.